welcome to Womack's wonderful world. Have I got some stories to tell you today in a place of mystery and intrigue, because it's where the angry giant lives, with his friends of course. Would you like to hear more? Well, let us begin. Under a tree. You see that tree? It's got some strange fruit growing on it, hasn't it? I've never seen any fruit like that before. And it's got strange birds inside it. Oh, they're funny colours, aren't they? And not only that, there's fruit on the floor. And there's fruit growing. But I've never seen fruit like that. Wow. And under the soil. Well, under the tree there's the soil and the roots growing down, and there is a rabbit's house. In fact, there's a picture of the rabbit on the wall. Bed, table. Oh, and there's a worm growing down here. Oh, it's going home. Maybe to see baby worms. And way under the rocks beneath. That's pretty deep. There's treasure down here, a treasure chest, and there's a ring, and a clock, and a spoon. Let's see what else we can find. Lives an angry giant with a big appetite with 3 very sharp teeth. Wow! They look very sharp to me. And have you seen his beard? It's got angry words in it. Yeah. Annoyed. Outraged. Bitter. Irritated, furious. And sullen. Now they're all different words for angry. He's very angry, and that's why he's got all these angry words in his beard. Shall we just look further? A giant displeased having little to eat, who's been angry for 1,000 years. And if any child dared stray into his lair, they wouldn't be spared. He might eat them swilled down with ginger beers. Look how angry he is. Can you see the shadow of his very big foot? And you know he's so angry he's going to stomp on that little fruit plant. And that's very angry, isn't it? Do you know what he said? He said children would be tasty, baked in thick pastry, smothered in clotted cream, diced and sliced in a trowel, all spiced, an angry giant's dream. Well, you can see he's dreaming, can't you? And inside that dream there's a pie with a hand and a foot and a ponytail sticking out of it. And he likes clotted cream. Big and huge allspice, that's the brand that he likes to buy. And he likes to buy big and huge clothes. Have you seen down here? XXXXXXL for large. Yes, made by big and huge. Wow. Shall we find out what happens next? When angry giant's hungry for food nice and crunchy, he burps and rumbles the earth. And that's when we know angry giant below is ready to widen his girth. Can you see? Burp, and the ground's moving, because when a giant burps, the ground does move, and it's shaking the tree, and it's shaking the birds that are sat in the tree upside down. And the leaves, the fruit, they're all dropping off. All that fruit and all them leaves on the floor, because the angry giant is hungry. Shall we find out what happens next? Now Paul was in awe of angry giant below and wanted to know much more. Was the legend true, or just a story that grew? So Paul set off to explore. You can see that he likes exploring, can't you? He's got posters on his wall, great explorers and the legends. He likes reading about legends and caves and there's a giant's leg up here. And there's something down here. I wonder if you could guess what that is. It's about a stalk. And I think Jack's mentioned in it somewhere. There's a story there, isn't there? And he's looking at the legend of the angry giant. So, he packed a sharp axe and some tasty snacks and followed a bumblebee. Can you see his sack with a bumblebee on it? Wow. Well, let's follow Paul, shall we? Look at that. Doesn't that look scary? Under that, and that little bumblebee there. Well, he's with the torch lit. Paul's following that bumblebee, and so he fearfully crept where legend accepts a giant lives angrily. Oh, that looks scary, doesn't it? He's round this big hole and all this dripping, and there's a spider there. He has to follow that spider to get to the angry giant. Well, he's a very brave boy, isn't he? A lot braver than me, because it was impossibly deep and too wide to leap. Blacker than night and as cold as frostbite. Slimy and grimy, all tingly and spiny, to a place where no human has known. To stomp and rampage his 1,000-year age, an angry giant's home. Well, look at these big shoes. And that's bubble gum. What he's trod on, the giant's trod on some bubble gum under his shoe. Oh, and look at the spider on the shoe. So Paul crawled deep inside, with a spider to guide and a torch to light his way. Then he tripped on the shoe as big as a canoe, which gave him a clue. Angry Giant wasn't far away. I smell a treat, something tasty to eat, with digestible crunchy bones, to nibble and dribble bones blissfully brittle. Come in, my little unknown. Well, he does look angry, doesn't he? And look, he's licking his lips. And that's a sign he's very hungry. And look what he's got in his beard. Cross, riled, ooh, displeased. They're big words for being angry, aren't they? Words you might use if you were writing a story about somebody being angry. Paul clutched his sharp axe and packet of snacks and shouted out very loud, "I, Jack Bull, come to let Giant know eating children is not allowed. There are lots of nice things besides human beings to eat when you want a meal, like apples and dates and banana cornflakes. My snacks would be ideal. And can you see? Apples, dates, they're nice foods, aren't they? They're very tasty. So I wonder what happens next." Well, Paul cut up his snacks with his very sharp axe and gave Angry Giant a piece. And he sniffed and he picked and he licked some bits. And he crunched and he munched on Paul's scrumptious lunch. And he hummed and he howled and eventually declared that he liked Paul's tasty feast. And you can see the words changing on the Angry Giant's beard, can't you? When he sniffed and he licked, delicious, crunchy. And when he's thinking about it, isn't he? He's engrossed. And then when he's humming, he's changing his mind about food, isn't he? And he actually likes Paul's tasty feast. Then the giant went quiet and thought of his diet he'd eaten since he was born. Can you see him thinking about when he was little? He'd always been fed on whatever he wanted. Now Angry Giant was torn. When he was a baby, he just screamed for food and got what he wanted. Sharing Paul's food had altered his mood, and for the first time ever he smiled. Wow, he's smiling, and look at the words changing in his beard. He's delighted. Yeah, he's pleased. He's happy. Then he shook Paul's paw and with a deafening guffaw said he'd never think of eating another child. And look at him swinging Paul round, and the words are happy words in his beard. And as good as his word, a giant's rumble is heard throughout Poland once a year. The rumble in the jungle is just a giant without a grumble, eating snacks and apple crumble, and children have nothing to fear. Wow! What a story! The angry giant. And wasn't Paul brave, boy? Of course he was. I wouldn't do it, of course, because I'm not that brave. Would you do it, children? Oh, Mr. Giant, would you take that book for me, please? Thank you very much. Friendly giant now, you see. Well, I'll have to take my hat, and I'll have to take my stick, with my little friend on it. That's another story. It's about a mouse. But that's for later. So, for now, goodbye. Womack's wonderful world.